Okay, great. Any doubts from our previous sessions?
No, sir.
Anything that is not clear? Anything you want me to clarify? So then let's start with today's session. And today we are going to do, sorry, Visak, you were saying something?
No, no, no. No, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can you do firewall protected machine?
Fire,
Firewall protected machine.
firewall protected machine. No, there are no machines which are firewall protected here in the
Okay.
easy or medium difficulties. Okay,
Okay.
they definitely lie under the more difficult machines category.
So what is the active machines and the retired machines?
So what are IT?
What are the difference between the active machines and the retired machines?
Active machines and retired machines.
Yes.
So active machines are accessed without the VIP labs. Okay, everyone or anyone can access the active machines. Okay, they are free to do. Anyone can do it.
Okay.
And for retired, you need to have the subscription. That's
Yeah, VIP subscription,
yeah.
right? Okay. That one
Another
is
thing
free.
is that yeah. Another thing is that when you're going to solve active machines, it is going to be counted towards your progress, and retired machines are not going to count towards your progress.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So doing active machines would help you gain your rank in Hack the Box, basically.
Rank, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sir, I have maybe expire on 19th, so I need to renew on before that or the after expiring. Is it
After see by
after?
default it is going to detect the charge automatically. If you want to stop the charges, if you want to stop the VIP, you need to explicitly unsubscribe to it.
Okay, where is it that
Hmm?
option? Where is that option?
Where is what, renewing it or deactivating it?
Because I did through not credit card, it's a debit card.
It's a debit card.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. I don't know what happens with debit card. Okay, but I know with
Okay.
credit card it is going to detect the money automatically.
Automatically.
After every month, it deducts the money, and your
Ah,
VIP lab is refreshed basically. That's the thing.
okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Let's search for Chatterbox. Let's click on play. Okay, so the machine is deployed to my lab environment, and let's set up a VPN then. We can see a VPN connection over here. Okay. Let's try to ping the target, which is 10 10 10 74. I'm able to ping the target. Okay, so I'll be starting with the basic nmap scan. A very basic nmap scan here, followed by a version detection scan here, along with the OS detection scan. Okay, let's run it. Or no, let's run the full port scan. The scan is 60% completed here and only 0.9% here. Maybe the scan is very slow because of poor internet connectivity here. Anyways, let's just wait for this basic nmap scan. Let's expect something useful to be shown here. Okay, so it says host is up. All 1,000 ports, all 1,000 scanned ports are filtered. Okay. Let's keep this thing running. Let's run it again. So basically what is happening here is our very basic nmap scan is not going to show us any output here because there is a port which is somewhere near 9,000, which is open. Okay, which is only going to be shown to us in this full port scan. Okay, so there's only one port that is running here, that is open here, which is 9256. So That's why our basic nmap scan is never going to show us anything. Instead, we should wait for the whole full port scan to run to complete and then show us the output. But we are not going to wait for it. Instead, we are going to specifically try to scan this port 9256 followed by target IP. And here you can see it shows me that port number 9256 is open. Okay. So you can ask this question that how I was able to realize that this port is open. That is because I once performed this whole full port scan, waited for all this scan to finish, and then only I was able to know that, okay, this port is open. Otherwise, there is no other way that I would be able to understand that, okay, this port is open or not. Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's save this output. Okay. So now I have this port to be open. What should I do next? Who is going to tell me? Tell me what should be my second step now, my next step. No one.
Version detection.
Version detection, right? Nmap-p scv along with OS detection as well. That's what I want to do. So here you can see that it shows me that some sort of AChat system is running here. Some sort of AChat server is running, AChat service is running here. Okay. And the target operating system is Windows based. You can see here. Seems to be a Windows based operating system. Okay. So I can just do a simple Google search about AChat. Chat system, some sort of maybe there's some sort of chatting application which is running here. Okay. I can read more about AChat here, what it is all about. It falls under the category for communication softwares. Okay. So from this point, if I have no other port and no other service which is running there, I am left with no other option than trying to attack the port number 9256 only. Okay. That is basically the AChat system. So what I can do is I can search for AChat system exploits. That's what I can do. That's one thing. I just opened the first exploit which was there. It directed me to the exploit DB link, and here I can see it says achat 0150 is vulnerable to some sort of remote buffer overflow based vulnerability. Okay, and this is the Python exploit here that we can use. Okay, let's do one thing before downloading it from exploit DB. Let's try to search it locally. Mhm. Let's try to do search exploit. Followed by, let's say, achat. And search exploit gives me 4 options here. Out of these 4 options, only 2 options are relevant to me because these are some different applications here. We can discard them. And out of the available 2 options, one of these options is only available on Metasploit, the Ruby exploit. So basically at the end of the day, I'm left with no other choice than the selected one. The first one, the Python file. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to copy this exploit, read this exploit, modify this exploit, and run it. That's what I'm going to do. And let's see how this is similar to the exploit which is available on exploit DB itself. So the first question arises is how can I access this exploit? How can I use that? So the command for that is going to be search exploit space M for mirroring something. What do you want to mirror? This is what I want to mirror. And where do you want to mirror? By default, it is going to be mirrored in your PWD. Okay. Let's do an ls here. Let's do cat. So here I can see that the 2 exploits which are available, one on the search exploit. Okay, who is going to tell me what is search exploit? What is the purpose of search exploit, or what is search exploit?
Exploitation searching, search engine.
And where it is going to search?
Searching in our machine.
Exploit DB.
Yeah, that's right.
So basically what search exploit is going to do is search exploit creates a copy of all the exploits which are available on exploit DB, but all of them are available locally on your machine. And search exploit queries that database, the database of exploit DB, which is available on our machine locally. That's what search exploit is going to do. So let's modify this exploit. Let's try to read this exploit first. What should I modify here? The target IP, target host. This is one thing that I need to modify. What else? MSF Venom code. This is something that I need to modify. So let's do this. The target IP is, I believe, 10.10.10.75. No, not this one.
Sir. 74.
74. Yeah, 74 it is. 74. Now let's change the exploit code here. So there is this MSF Venom command which is given as a point of reference that we can use. So I'm going to modify this MSF Venom command. What I'm going to modify is I will show you. I want to get a reverse shell back. Okay. So I'll be changing the payload here. Let's do this. Okay, so as I do not know the target operating system, I'm going to use the 32-bit one. Where did it go? Windows, shell. Yeah, here it is. Let's copy this one and let's just paste it in the MSF Venom command that we are going to use. Okay. Now I need to change the L host and L port as well. Okay, so I have successfully modified the MSF Venom command. Okay, I have changed the payload. Payload is Windows shell reverse TCP. That's what I'm doing here. Architecture is right. I can keep the encoding. LHOS, LPort are being mentioned here. Let's let's create it. Okay, so I got the output here. Let's copy this. and let's paste it here. What I did here was I simply commented this out, this part out. This was the older version of the payload. Or let me just remove this part. So I've simply removed the part. I believe everything is right now. Let's save this file.
So before there is MSF,
Hmm?
the old payload is there.
Yeah, but that is already commented out. I do not need to remove it. Yeah. Okay, so I have my exploit here, which is successfully modified. So what should I do next? What should I do now? No idea. Let's run this Python file. It is that simple. Let's run this Python file. Before that, set up a listener. So I have a listener running here. I have successfully set up a listener running on my machine. Okay. Using sudo netcat -nvlp followed by port number. Now let's run the exploit and see what happens. Bad interpreter. Let's do Python. Oof. And here you can see that I got a shell back. Hmm. Any doubt? Anything that is not clear?
No, sir.
So now, can you enumerate this machine locally? Can you tell me what all steps should I do from this point to do the local enumeration here? The very basic command is who am I? To see my current user, I'm Chatterbox Alfred. Okay. So as I'm not a service account here, so I can probably access the user flag. Let's see. Okay, let's go to users. CD desktop. Empty directory here. Let's go to this user known as Alfred. Let's do CD desktop. So here you can see that I have the user.txt. So here you can see, guys, I have been able to get a basic shell on my target. Now, can you guys give me any suggestions for escalating my privileges here? No idea. Okay, let's do net space users then. I have 3 users here: admin, Alfred, and guest. Okay, let's do net space user, Alfred. Yeah. So here we can see the output that the username is this. What else? The group membership is users. Guys, are you able to follow along whatever I'm talking here?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, okay, let's type net space user. Okay. Already seen the user we want. We want to become administrator. Okay. And we are Alfred right now. Let's do who am I slash priv for checking out the privileges which are available here, privileges which are enabled here. Okay, for us. Okay, we do not have a set impersonation token here. Otherwise, that could have been a potential for another exploit. Okay, let's run system info. Okay. So system info gives me the output and it says that there are 208 hotfixes installed. What does this mean?
Security. Support.
Okay, what kind of security?
Virus protection. I don't know, sir.
This is basically the number of patches and upgrades or updates which have been done after the first install. So there are 208 patches has been updated here. Okay, so probably I'm just making it a guess that this machine is probably fully patched. hmm, That there are no missing patches here. Okay, that's what I'm making a reasonable guess by looking at 208 patches. Okay. Okay, so why I'm seeing this is, why I'm observing this is because this narrows down the probability for privilege escalation. Now I know that, okay, I'm not going to go for these some system exploits or kernel exploits at this point. Okay, because there are already so many patches installed here. Okay, so what next? Let's try to explore the administrator directory. Maybe we can find something interesting there. cd administrator dir. Okay, so I can basically move in the administrator directory. That's one thing. That's one catch here. And I can do, let's say I can go to desktop directory. Let's see. I can go to desktop directory as well. I can list the files as well. Many times you would have seen that, okay, the normal user would not be even allowed to open the directories and list the contents of the directory. It would have
Yes.
been
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
permission denied or access denied error here. Okay, but here I can do that. So if I can do this, let's see if I can read the root.txt this way. Type root.txt. Can I read the file? It says no, you are not allowed to read the file. Access is denied. Okay. Now what should I do next? Anything that pops up in your mind?
Privilege escalations.
Yeah, that's what we are doing here. That's what why we are locally enumerating this machine. That's what we
Kernel
want.
exploitation is working.
We can we cannot do kernel exploit here because there are 208 patches here. That one possibility is narrowed down that it cannot work. So
Windows
what
suggester.
yeah, Windows?
Suggester, sir. Suggester.
So exploit suggester is something that I'm going to run when I do not have a lot of patches there. Okay.
Okay.
If I have less number of patches or no patches, then only I'll be running. Then only I'll be tending towards the Windows exploit suggester. Otherwise not. Okay. So can any one of you tell me how can I check the permissions of this file? Like what are the file permissions of this thing? The usage permission for this file. How can I check file permissions in Windows here? Because in Linux, I can just do ls-l and I can see the permissions here. I can see the permissions here. But how can I see the permissions in Windows? I want to see the permissions of this file root.txt. I want to see what kind of permissions are set to root and what kind of permissions are set to desktop directory that I'm not admin, but I'm able to move into the desktop directory, but I'm not able to read the file. No idea.
Get ACL.
Hmm?
Get ACL. ACL.
Get ACL.
Yeah.
Get ACL followed by file name. Get ACL is not recognized. Instead of get ACL, I can do IC ACLS followed by root.txt. That's what I can do. Okay. So when I do IC ACLs, this is going to give us the permissions here. Just give me a quick minute, guys. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. So where was I? I was saying something. Yeah, we were talking about the file permissions here. So I can just check the file permissions here using ICACLs, and what I can see is that administrator is having full permissions. Chatterbox administrator is having full permissions for this file, and no one else is having any permissions here. Okay. Okay. But simultaneously, I want to, I'm curious about the permissions for the desktop directory. Hmm. And what is the file permissions for this desktop directory? Let me do ICACLS followed by desktop. And when I do ICACL's desktop, here you can see a lot of file permissions are here being provided. Okay. So user, guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we are currently Alfred user here. Okay. And the Alfred user is having full permissions on this directory. Alfred is having full permissions on this directory. Okay. So it's a good news then. What I can do is I can try to change the permissions. CD desktop. I can do dir slash q root.txt. Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's grant ourselves the permissions to all the full permissions to the root.txt. So I do not have the annotate option here. Let me tell you what I have been checking here. So the desktop directory is having permissions. The Alfred is having full permissions on this desktop directory. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing is that when I did ICACS on root.txt, administrator is having full permissions on the root.txt. And when I did dir hyphen slash q root.txt, it shows me that Alfred is the owner of this file, is the creator of this file. Okay. So this is like this place that RK's user is the owner of this file. This output is being shown by dir slash q here. Getting my point?
So what is slash q?
This slash q is I'm using this slash q. It's just like this flag. The flags in Linux, similarly, we have flags in Windows as well for
Okay.
showing us more property, more details about the file folder. So slash q tells us the owner of the files.
Okay.
Okay. So here we got to know that chatterbox slash Alfred is the owner of this file, root.txt. So if I own this file, Alfred owns this file, but Alfred does not have the permissions to read this file. But Alfred has the permissions to access the desktop folder, full permissions. So what Alfred can do is, Alfred can give itself some permissions as well. Okay. How can I do that? I can do IC AC ls slash file name root dot txt slash grant. I'm granting permissions to Alfred. What type of permissions? Full permissions. Let's press enter. Successfully processed one file. Okay. So that means that now I would be having permissions here. ICACLS. Let me just confirm it. So now you can see that Alfred is also having permissions, full permissions over this file. Okay. And what I can do is I can simply do type root.txt. And I have the flag. Just get the flag and paste it here. Okay. Yeah, guys. So now you can ask questions if something is not clear, because we have successfully rooted this machine here. Okay. So tell me, we have successfully got both of the flags here. If something is not clear, you can ask me now. This is the exploit that we used. I've sent this exploit in the chat, and the MSF Venom command that we use to generate it is this one. I've sent the command in the chat as well. And in the modification of exploit, I changed the R host as well. And successfully ran the exploit. I was able to get a shell back. And after that, it was all about permissions. Used ICACLS and dir/q. These are certain commands that you should explore. Along with that, let me share the so here you can see there are a lot of file permissions in Windows. Okay, you can refer to this article for the GUI based file permission modification, and then you can refer to ICACLS. Let's go to site.com. Oops. Yeah, so here you can see a detailed elaboration on the all types of permissions. In this machine, we looked into the F, that was full access, edit permission, create, delete, read, write, and the variety of permissions which are available here. So I'm sharing this article as well with you guys. You can refer to this one. And for GUI, you can refer to this one for the GUI. Okay. And dir cmd /q. A beginner guide to Windows command line. So every time you are trying to attack a Windows based machine, you should be very well versed with the Windows command line interface, like what commands you are going to use where. So let me see if there is, if this is the good guide, I'll share it. Nope, this is not the one. Yeah, this is a good one. You can do it here. This is for Linux. This is not for Windows, but I have found the Linux, so I'm sharing it as well. Other than this, you can refer to Over the Wire, or let's say OTW Bandit. This is for your Linux command line. You can play this game for Linux command line. And this is for your PowerShell training. Okay. Under the Wire and Over the Wire. Okay. Yeah, guys. So anything that is not clear, you want me to elaborate or you want me to clarify, you can ask me now. Tell me. All good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are certain games like or challenges, small challenges for you guys that you can practice. Okay, enhancing knowledge in a bite-sized format. That's what you can do. Other than that, I'll be doing Cron OS in the next session, and that would be the last machine for your this penetration testing training. Okay, and we'll wrap it up by next session. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so yeah, have a great day ahead. Take care. We'll meet day after tomorrow. Okay, we'll meet on Friday now, and bye bye.
Bye, sir.